Okay, let's begin. Does anybody have questions?
Yes, Delson, I would happen to have a question, if possible.
Go ahead.
Regarding the suttas, so there are many examples of people attaining different levels of awakening, and in some suttas also read about, like for instance in Majjhima Nikaya 71, there's a passage wherein it is said, Master Gotama, are there any lay people who, without giving up the fetter of day life, make an end of suffering when the body breaks up? No, Vacha. So I was wondering if, as I haven't seen any examples of lay arahants, if one would have to become a monk at some point or rely on the Sangha in some way.
Yeah.
If you explain on this, thank you.
Yeah. So the original Pali for that fetter of lay life, it says the fetter of householdership. There are instances in the suttas, in the Pali Canon, in which it is said that there were lay people who had final knowledge, who had full deliverance of mind, which means they became arahats. And two situations occurred, which is one, they either passed away right away because they attained arahatship before the dissolution of the body, or they decided to join the monastic order. They decided to join and become a bhikkhu. And because of that, there are interpretations from that it can only be one of these two, which is that once a layperson becomes an arahant, they either die or they have to join the Sangha. Having said that, I will say that when you look at the meaning of fetter of lay life or fetter of householdership, it's related more to the attachments to the conditions and the requisites of lay life, which is to say, dealing with having a house, dealing with having, in ancient times, cattle, dealing with money, gold and silver, this and that, and so on and so forth. So in the case of an arahat, once a layperson does become an arahat, they generally have no interest in making money, obviously. They have no interest in living the life of a lay person. So in that case, they could just become a wanderer. They don't need to necessarily live the life of a householder or a full-fledged monastic. Although if they have the inclination to join the Sangha, they might well do so. But it's more about the attachments to the lay life that they completely let go of. And because of that, there's no interest in, like I said, making money. There's no interest in owning things. There's no interest in having any relationships with the lay life or anything in that regard. So such a being could still, let's say, not have joined the monastic order, but still be a wanderer, still depend upon the generosity of other people, so to speak. And, you could be a solitary wanderer living in the forest, and that's totally fine as long as you live on alms, or rather live on, means through which people provide you, food and shelter and so on. So because once you have destroyed all the fetters, there's no interest in staying in the same conditions of the lay life. The lay life is, as the Buddha says, crowded and dusty, right? And there's no more interaction with that kind of frame of mind. On a deeper level, if you look at it, there's Mahakachana who talks about the mind or the consciousness that has no abode, or having the kind of mindset where there is no sense of home, and you are homeless in that regard. And what that means is that the consciousness doesn't make itself home in one or any of the senses, the six sense bases. Again, meaning such a being is non-attached. Such a being has let go of all attachments. And such a consciousness doesn't remain established in any of the six sense bases, taking it personal and thereby creating craving. It would be impossible for the Arhat to do that. So that could be a deeper meaning to understand from this.
Thank you for clarifying it in such a way. Thank you.
In the Khina Vibhanga Sutta, Buddha says donation to Sangha is more beneficial than donation to even Buddha. Why does he say that?
That's a very good question, and I would say I don't know. I could only guess it's probably because the Sangha continues on beyond the Buddha's physical life. And so the Sangha continues on teaching the Dhamma well after the Buddha is gone, well after the Buddha is extinguished. So unless he's talking about even while he's alive, but even there, you can only speculate, and that's what I'm doing now, is that the Sangha is much more far spread out than the Buddha is in terms of being able to provide wisdom. They're traveling all around and providing people the wisdom of the Dhamma. And so the more you're able to give to the Sangha, the larger the Sangha would grow. And the larger you would be able to contribute to the progression of the Dhamma and the spreading of the Dhamma.
Could I ask, I'm sorry. Could I ask a practical question? Is it true that you should be giving with your own hands? I mean, now we just transfer money from one bank account to another. But is it true that that is less beneficial than handing something with your own hands to a person in front of you?
I think it all starts with the intention more than anything else, especially in today's modern world. The idea of sending it with your own hands, with your two hands, is a sign of devotion, sign of veneration, sign of genuine intention to be generous to that person. So it all begins with the intention first and foremost. So interesting remark, it says here, Suparaka Bahaya's place is now called Nalasupara and has a pagoda. It is on the western line of Bombay local train. Interestingly enough, when I was a little child, I actually lived in Nalasupara. Just a little interesting aside. I know nothing of it anymore, but I remember being there, yeah. All right, no problem. Take care.
Delson, I want to take opportunity to ask one question.
Yes.
In the 8th jhana, like after coming out from 8th jhana, one can recollect like what thoughts might have came, right?
Yes.
Is it mean like during the jhana, the thoughts which came were actually distractions, but the formations without clinging, without craving? So my question is, are the formations, those are definitely formations
Right.
because they are thoughts. Are those thoughts were having some clinging or no clinging?
So let me make sure I get this correctly. So you're saying that we have the practice of, after coming out of the eight jhana, to look back and see what was arising, right?
Yeah.
The main reason for that is because what happens is you're in such a deep level of mind that there are very, very subtle formations that are arising. And because you're in neither perception and non-perception, you don't have the full awareness or the full perception of what is necessarily arising. So that's why when you come out of neither perception or non-perception and you have full awareness, you have the ability to have the retrospective looking back. With that kind of perception, you can now detect, okay, this is what arose, and as it arises in your retrospective mind, you let go of it.
So can I say that there was no craving during that period?
Yeah, there would have been no craving regardless. The craving will only arise when you start to pay attention to those formations and start to attach your attention to them. But if, for example, even on the coarser level, right, if there are hindrances arising but there's no interaction with them, there's non-involvement with them, and your attention stays with the object, which might be a coarser object like loving kindness or compassion, because there's no attention given to them, to the thoughts, they will go away on their own because they don't have fuel, they don't have nutriment through the attention. So there's no craving going on there, but as soon as you put your attention there, which is you're trying to either start to attract towards them and start to create thoughts around them and thought processes, or you're starting to try to push them away, and so you're having aversion. That's where the craving is. Your reaction to the thoughts, your reaction to the formations is what will create the craving. But if there's no attention being there, craving will not arise. It's the improper attention or the unwise attention that gives rise to craving.
Thanks for clarifying. And I want to say thanks for everyone. I really enjoyed this course, even though it's virtual. Like, it was pretty good course for me.
Good.
And thanks to Delson as well, of course.
Absolutely.
How bad is it if you forget to review? Because I put post-its and all kinds of reminders to review, but I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Is it really bad, or
It's not bad. It's not bad. Really, there's a secondary reason for why you would be doing that sort of review process, because the mind naturally does that when you come out of cessation as well. So you're just practicing the ability to look deeper into the formations when they arise after cessation. So it's exercising that ability of mind. But if you don't do it or you forget to do it, it's not going to deter you in any way. It's a matter of just building that muscle to do so.
okay? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding, if I understand right, when projections are casing together with ignorance, you think such person would also see the world around himself differently, let's say more clearly, in a matter of that the things going on around you fit more in, let's say, very simplistically. For example, also living in nature, if you have a good contact like this, very clear, with no projections, no ignorance, then you can feel the right action, let's say, that you need to survive, to get the nutrition, because, and so on. And also among people, the same, that you feel what's really clear situation, or not clear situation, let's say the reality
Yeah.
as it is. So everything fits better than more smooth, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, the way I see it is when you're, first of all, when you're not having projections in the conventional sense of the word, meaning you're not projecting onto a person your image of them, whether it's good or bad, you're then able to be as clear as possible in seeing the reality of the person or of the situation. But the moment the mind is filtered with these fetters or with these defilements or projections, you're no longer experiencing reality. First of all, everything that you're seeing is through the sixth sense basis. Everything you're understanding is through the sixth sense basis. So if there's projections through the sixth sense basis, that is going to distort your perception of the reality. It's going to distort what is the truth of the person or of the individual who is interacting with you. So for that reason, if you are able to be in a mind where you don't Okay. So, as I was saying about the projections, so if you have a mind that is unfiltered, that is not distorted by the projections, you will have a better sense of what the person requires in your interactions with them. And you will be able to understand the situation better. And that really starts again with mindfulness. The more you practice right mindfulness, understanding that whatever is arising and passing away through the lens of the three characteristics, you don't take things personal first and foremost. So that's on a gross level, that's on a coarser level. But as you start to do this, you're starting to then reformat the formations, if you will. You're starting to recondition it. And then ultimately, when the projections are destroyed, when the defilements are destroyed, you understand reality in a way that is undistorted, and your perceptions are always rooted in right view.
Thank you.
So these Zoom online retreats will continue throughout the year.
The plan is, well, we have one plan for another one this month. We might do another one in December. It really depends on everyone's schedule, including mine and Kuhn's. But the plan is, if things start to work out in the spring of next year, in spring of 2021, we can start doing physical retreats, whether it's in Malaysia, Indonesia, Europe, Canada, or India. So until then, if you don't hear anything back, we'll start to probably try to do a retreat once a month, if possible, at the very least.
Okay. Do you give individual retreats? If one individual wants to do retreat on its own, you can get guideline.
You mean like a one-on-one thing?
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that, but if there is interest, and if people are interested, then they can let Suttavada know, and we can try to create something around that.
Okay, thank you. Because Duckcraft and David are doing that, I think.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Thank you.
I just saw this. Let's enter and come out of jhana when there is disruption in audio. Take it as it is testing of our practice. That's good.
So on behalf of all students, we thank you very much, Delson. We are very, very grateful to you for your guidance. It was very nice and very deep, and we learned a lot. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. I'm very glad to have met all of you, and I'm glad to be able to do this. I'm glad to help you, and I probably told everyone, but if not everyone has it, you can also email me. I'll send you the email address here. And if you have any questions, you can send questions there. And then as I'm able to answer questions, I will respond to you guys. But thank you all for attending this. I'm very glad to have met you all.
Can I say something? Thank you very much for your guidance and teaching this wonderful Buddhist discourse. It's clear as possible for me. I've been very grateful for that. And with that, I created Delson's podcast as well, so that people who doesn't have time to watch the YouTube, they can download it and listen. So please subscribe so that I can get a lot more and put it on Google and stuff like that too. Let's try to spread this wonderful teaching the best as possible.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I've not been very verbal this retreat.
He emerges out of the shadows.
There it is. But 3 huge sadhus to you and Kuhn, who I know has also put so much effort in this wonderful retreat. An amazing sadhu, really, from all of at least my being. And see you sometime later.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course, we cannot forget Kuhn. Kuhn is the one who really organized all of this. Of course, there were a few glitches here and there, but that's to be expected. This is a very first online retreat. But, and this is a matter of public record now, but I always try to from now on, in the last couple of weeks, to tell Kuhn that try to focus on your own practice as well, because he's been doing so much for the foundation, connecting with people, doing different kinds of thing with the website, trying to create translations, organizing the talks, organizing the different retreats, and so on and so forth. So I think we should all, I will say it on your behalf, all of you as well, to let Kuhn remember to take some time for himself as well, so he can continue with his practice. Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. I mean, if you guys feel inclined to, I know many of you already are doing that. You can always send a message to Kuhn to volunteer to help, sort of lighten his burden, so to speak, and share in your generosity and helping continue with his efforts to really spread the Dhamma in his own way. We'll take time for one more question, and then we'll share some merit. Okay, looks like nobody has questions, so let's share some merit then.
May suffering ones
Suffering ones.
Be
Be
suffering
suffering free.
and the future is
be
grief
shared all griefs, and may all mankind release. May all beings share this merit that we have aspired
for
for
the
the
acquisition of all kinds of
happiness.
happiness.
May
May
beings
beings
in
in
space
and earth,
Devas
and Nagas of mighty power,
share
this
this merit of ours.
May they
May they
long
long protect
protect the
Buddha's
Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so much,
Delson.
everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you, Delson.
Thank you, Delson.
Also,
Thank you, Delson.
Take
Thank you
care,
so
everyone.
much.
Take care.